Hi there, this is Trace Taylor with Battleground Media, and I haven't been doing a lot of tutorials lately. I'm sure you guys are just like I am and have been getting pounded in your email by tutorials. Everybody's doing tutorials in After Effects nowadays, and I figured nobody needs to see another green screen tutorial or, how to 3D track or something like that. So I just decided I'm only going to do tutorials when I come across things that are, just things that are, kind of odd, things I had to sit and figure out, stuff like that. And just leave all the other stuff to everybody else. So here we go. What we're going to be doing today is, let me pull this up here. I was shooting a commercial for a client of mine. He has this table, and obviously there's fire in the middle of it. They sell a lot of these in the fall, and I kind of had an idea when they lit the thing up. And got to looking at it and thinking, okay, now how am I going to do this? And what it is you see you have the light casting on here, the fire, and the fire is actually in front of the cell, and a little bit of lag there because I got 10 million things going on my computer right now. And back that up and do it one more time. I'm going to show you how to do this, how to put the cell behind it, put the fire in front of it. Really not that hard, but it did take me a minute to figure out exactly how to get that working. So here we go. Let's go into After Effects. And here's the project file that I was working on. I'm going to be doing this in half res. Because like I said, I got a lot of things going on my computer right now. And actually, I need to seriously update my computers. I just haven't gotten around to it. Going through that big debate, should I buy a Mac or should I buy a PC? Haven't quite figured that one out yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the footage that I shot. We're going to just pop in a new composition. Here's the footage here. And actually I'm going to switch this to, we're on fast draft. And we're going to scroll through here. You can see there, footage in the fire, all that good stuff. And I'm just going to go up and pick a part right where it starts to pan. Right about there is good. And I'm going to go ahead and pull this to the side. And if you hold shift when you're dragging this, it'll snap to the CTI. So I'm going to go to the end here, find a place. And that's about good enough there. Same thing, grab the end, grab the handle, hold shift, it'll snap to it. And then we're going to trim the comp to the work area. Okay, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to 3D track this. I am using After Effects CS6 right now. We're going to put a 3D track on this, so go to the layer, and if you right-click on the layer, excuse me, and we're going to go to Track Camera. What it's going to do, it's going to analyze in the background, and then when it gets through analyzing, it'll resolve the 3D track, and then we'll pick up. This will take a minute here, so we'll pick up when this is done. Okay, here we are. We're back now. And everything's solved. All the track points are in. And here are all of our track points here. And what we're looking to do, I'm sure you guys have seen a million tutorials on 3D tracking. We're looking for a point right here on the couch that we can put some text. And I'm looking for something right in the center. And this one right here looks pretty good. I like this one right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on it. And you can either create a null in camera, which is normally what I do when I 3D track. I like using the nulls a lot better than doing it any other way, than adding text and picking it to the null. But this time we're going to create text in camera. And there's our text right there. So we're going to pick the text layer. Let's go ahead and start moving this into place where we want it. I'm going to move over to the center here, where I can get a better look at what I'm doing. So let's bring this in. Let's push this back. Let's go ahead and change this real quick. And we're just going to change it to cell or whatever you want to put on there. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate it around. And normally I use the rotate tool. But for this, I'm just going to go ahead and use the tools here. Under the actual rotation, hit R and it pops open. And let's just get this straightened up. That's close enough for this. Rotate it back just a little bit. Let's move it. Let's put it just a little further back in Z space there. And let's bring this down. Now I could get it a little closer, but I don't want to get into a situation where I have to mask around the cups, so I'm going to leave it right here. And if you see here, the flames that are coming up, the flames are coming up behind it, obviously, because if you look here, the cell's on top of the footage. And that's one of the things that we're going to correct here in a minute. So you have a couple options here. If you want to do this and you want to extrude the text, then obviously we got to go up here and we got to throw this into ray trace. As you already know, when you click on ray trace, boy, it kills the render time on your computer. But we're going to go ahead and ray trace this out because I'm going to show you exactly how I did the last one. And as soon as you pop that in, you notice you'll get some more options down here, geometry options. I'm only going to extrude this out about 10. And you can see there how it's gotten thicker. It extruded out. And like I said, I am in half res because it's just my computer's really lagging right now. What I'm going to do is, now that I've got that extruded out, I'm going to come over here under text. I just opened it and closed the cell. I'm going to go to animate. And if you go here to animate, and if you look right here, you have front, bevel, side, back. What we're going to do is we're going to change the color of the sides. We're going to use the RGB. And what I like to do, you see here how it popped up red. I don't like the red. I'm going to pick the color of the text, the orange. Then I'm going to pop open the color menu, and I'm just going to darken that down a little bit. And you can see it start to come in to the back. Not too dark, so I don't want it to look black. Look like it is getting some light onto it. And that's good enough. Everything looks good, so let's move on here. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to render this out by itself. Because I'm going to have to cast some lights and stuff on it, just in case I need to change the mode and put an overlay on it to make it look right. And you really can't change the mode on these when you're in Ray Trace 3D. As you see here, when I toggle the switches for the cell, I don't have a mode. I got to pull this out of Ray Trace and put it in normal 3D in order to get a mode to be able to change. So just in case I need it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and render this out by itself. So I'm going to pull that down. You got to leave the camera on. We're going to come over here. We're going to add to render queue. And we want this to come out as an animation. It should come up automatically. And the reason we want to use animation is because we want RGB plus alpha. And animation, if you move it over to ProRes, you don't get that. So leave it there and then set your source wherever you want it. And we're just going to save it right here in our file. Click save. And let's go ahead and render this out. Okay, now that I've got that rendered out, I went ahead and put it in. And obviously it'll line straight up because we pulled it straight out of this composition, the 3D tracking and everything. So it goes right in. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add some lights. And this is why I rendered it out and put a copy on top of it. I'm going to go into layer, new light. We're going to use a point light. Just click OK. And obviously the layer has to be 3D for the lights to work. Now this cell here that we rendered out, we cannot make that 3D, or what it'll do is if we make it 3D, it's going to pick up the original track that we did, and this will be panning twice as fast as our footage. So since that one's already rendered out, we leave that one alone. Here is our original text here, and now you see since it is 3D, got the little tick checked here, it will accept the lights. And I guess it would help if I put that on the lights. See? And that's what we want right there. And this is why we're doing it this way, because if I turn that off, and if I make this right here 3D, I'm sorry, when I go to render this, see how it's moving? And we can't have that, so we turn the 3D back off of that. That way it stays in time with everything else. We light up the other text. Bring this up. We're going to take our light. We're going to duplicate our light. And boy, did it just get bright. Light 2. We're going to scoot this over. And we're going to pull these back just a little bit. And let's bring the intensity down on these. Let's bring it to about 50% on each one of these. Okay, now we're going to make the lights flicker, make it look like it's actually getting light from the fire. And how we're going to do this is we're going to take the first light, open it up, we're going to go to light options, and we're going to option click intensity. And right here we're going to put in a wiggle expression, wiggle, open parenthesis, 5, 50, close parenthesis. And then we're going to come up to light 2 and do the same exact thing. You can copy and paste that across, but we're just going to go ahead and type these in. Wiggle, open parenthesis, 5, 50, close parenthesis. And now we have our wiggles in there. And this will give us a little bit of a flicker on the light from the fire. Let me close these. We'll do just a real quick render here. Well, I say a quick render, but obviously in the case of my Macs, it's a slow render. And now you can see that we're getting some flicker there. Now the flicker, adjust it however much you want, how much flicker you want. Obviously this one's not lining up with the fire very well. Okay, you notice we got these really dark points on here, like right there. Okay, now those are going to have to be adjusted out. You can adjust those out. You see how far our intensity is coming down on these. You can actually adjust them out here with the wiggles. And you can move these around, these numbers, and you'll see these numbers will change. For instance, if I change this to 25, see now it's up to 36. And let's change this one also to 25. And now that one's up to 38. So let's do a RAM preview real quick. Here we go. That's not too bad there. Check our intensities. Yeah, it's not too bad. They're staying pretty close to each other. All right, so we're just going to let that sit where it's at right now. Okay, now we have the light on that. And that's why I went ahead and rendered out this one movie in case I do need to change my track mode here, which I can change to give it just a different look. And like I said, you cannot do that when you're in Ray Trace. You have to be in Classic 3D. And I still wanted that extruded text, so that's why I pulled that out. Okay, now what we got to do is we got to get these flames on top of this cell right here. Obviously, we just can't move the cell below it because it'll just disappear. And of course, I moved the bottom one in the movie. And if I move this one under it, it'll do the same thing. So that doesn't do us any good whatsoever. So let's move those back. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our main footage. We're going to duplicate this footage. We're going to pull this up above the two cells. Okay, I'm going to shut everything off here, even my light, and we're going to make sure you have this layer highlighted, and we're going to go to Effect, Keying, and we're going to extract out what we need from this. Now here we have multiple settings. We have luminance, your RGB, and your alpha. What we're going to do is we're going to go with the red, and we're going to raise the black point. And the fire, which obviously has a lot of red and orange in it, that is what, watch, we're going to have. We're going to eat up all that around it. And you got to raise this up pretty high. And you'll see if you go up too high, you're going to start really eating into your flame. All right, and that's not what we want. You can pull a lot of it back with the black softness. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that to 0. I'm going to bring this down because basically we're overlaying footage. So since we are overlaying footage, you're never going to see the difference. So now that we have that back on, we turn all this back on. Now our flames are on top of our cell. Now what you have to do is you have to go through here and you have to look. If you can see right here, you can see where it's pulling through, where it's pulling the red out. It's actually eating into the layers under it. So we're going to try to correct that real quick. And what we'll do is we'll raise our black point a little more. Yep, there's still a little bit left. Nope, the softness isn't pulling it out. We're going to raise it a little more. And it should still be okay. See, we have plenty of flame. You can see the flame coming up. And everything looks pretty good. Let's do a partial RAM preview. That's good enough. There, we have our flicker. The fire's on top. It looks like the cell's sitting back on the couch. Everything's tracked in. You can take this a little further, and you actually can add a layer and throw a shadow behind there if you want to get into that. For what I'm doing for this TV commercial, I didn't want to put the shadows and everything on it. You do have light casting. You can see on the furniture where the flame is lighting it up naturally. And then from using our lights with our wiggle on the intensity, it's also picking up some light casting on the cell sign. So that's pretty much it. This is probably much longer than what it needed to be, but it is what it is. Check out our website, www.battleground-media.com. We did put up some new sound effects, put up a whole section on machine guns. About any type of machine gun you need, I've got in there. All the effects are free for download. They are in WAV files because they are coded in HTML5. So everything you download will be in a WAV file. Take them, use them, do whatever you want with them, give them away, throw them on DVDs and break them. I don't care. They're there for you to use. And also, I was going to be doing tutorials. Well, I'm sorry, I am going to be doing tutorials. We're getting ready to start shooting our movie. I mentioned this a while back in one of my earlier tutorials, but since then, I did get married before that, but I've bought a house, we've moved in, and just had a million things going on. So actually, I'm running like a month and a half behind shooting my little 15-20 minute film, but we do have the script written. It is called Haunted. You can pretty much figure out what it's going to be because it is for a horror film festival that I'm shooting this for. And there's going to be excuse me. There's going to be a few cool things that I'm going to do in it if I have time, and I'm going to show tutorials on how I did them. Some of them might be kind of time consuming if everything goes as planned. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You have the 3D text, you have the fire on top of it with the light casting. Check out our website, www.battleground-media.com. And if you have any questions, you can hit me at my website. And I got some pretty cool things that are going to be coming up. And I'm actually going to be doing a tutorial on something that I'm going to put in the movie before we actually get into the movie. Just something that's pretty slick. Check it all out, and I will talk to you guys later.